Hey guys, Fletch Football Observer here, and today's video is going to be a Premier League preview show previewing Game 22 of the 2019-2020 season. Yes, I am back following a Christmas and New Year absence to bring you back the preview videos, and of course, now that we're into Game 22, we are beyond the midway point of the season and the table is beginning to take shape. We are starting to see where certain teams' futures lie within this table. And of course, this upcoming round of fixtures is going to be another big and important one. So without further ado, let's get into the preview. We're going to begin with arguably the biggest game of this round of fixtures, and we're at Anfield as Liverpool, top of the table Liverpool that is, entertain Tottenham in Saturday's evening fixture. Liverpool remain unbeaten this season following their last league victory, which was a 2-0 victory over Sheffield United last week, whilst Tottenham have been beaten by Southampton in their last performance by a 0-0. Will Liverpool remain unbeaten, or will Jose Mourinho and Tottenham deliver the Reds their first loss of this season? This will be one of the many fixtures that Jose Mourinho would have had his eyes on when he first took over as Tottenham manager. Making his mark on the title picture no matter how small or insignificant it may seem, and being the first manager to end Liverpool's unbeaten run and end their possible chances of having an invincible season is something that he will be desperately wanting to achieve. It's something that he will definitely would have had his eyes on and wanted to do since taking over. Regardless though, with the form of the Reds that they've been in the past few weeks, the high level performances they've also been putting in, combined with the lackluster and inconsistent performances of Tottenham in recent weeks, I'm going to have to give Liverpool the edge here. So that's why I'm going to go for a 2-1 Liverpool win with Sadio Mane scoring for the current league leaders. Next we come to a Friday night game between Sheffield United and West Ham. So guys, make sure your fantasy football teams are up to speed in time for this one. In their last Premier League performances, Sheffield United were beaten 2-0 by Liverpool, whilst West Ham began life under new/old manager David Moyes with a 4-0 victory over Bournemouth. Will the Blades get back to winning ways here, or will West Ham make it back-to-back league wins in this game? An interesting game ahead here between a side who have overachieved massively this season compared to a side who have completely underachieved, but of course they are now under new management, so it's possible that the new manager bounce may still be in effect here. A game that really could go any which way, and if I had to make a prediction for this game, which let's face it is the purpose of this video, I'm going to have to go with a draw as the outcome for this one. So that's why I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw come the final whistle. Villa Park plays host to our next fixture in Aston Villa versus Manchester City on Sunday afternoon. Both these sides come into this game off the back of league victories in their last outings, with both sides winning 2-1 against their respective opponents. And so the question here is, will Villa shock City with a win in this game, or will City be victorious here and make it 3 wins on the bounce? On its face, this should be or have a City win written all over it. But we've seen that a fair few times this season, and in most cases they've actually dropped points in many of these fixtures, hence why they find themselves currently 14 points off of the league leaders Liverpool. Villa, I believe, at home will put up a fairly respectable fight. It's not an easy place to go to after all by any means, but I still believe City will go on and get the 3 points here, and I'm going to say that it will end 3-1 to City with Raheem Sterling amongst the goals. Next, we're focusing on Saturday's lunchtime fixture between Crystal Palace and Arsenal at Selhurst Park. New Year's Day saw both sides last out in league action, with Palace drawing 1-1 with Norwich, whilst Mikel Arteta picked up his first victory as Gunners boss with a 2-0 win over Manchester United. Will Palace stun the Gunners here, or will Arsenal make it back-to-back victories? It's crazy how tight and how weird this Premier League season is. It was all doom and gloom for Arsenal several weeks ago, then suddenly one victory over Manchester United along with a seemingly positive change in tactics and style that we've seen over the past few weeks since Mikel Arteta took over, and suddenly they are back in contention for European football for next season. And a victory here could lift them up to 8th in the table, should other results go in their favour of course. As for Palace, a good season so far. I think they have overachieved somewhat considering how their summer went with losing a couple of key players, and given their recent injury crisis, they've done very well on that scale as well. However, back to the game though, I'm going to have to give the slight edge to Arsenal here given their seemingly new manager bounce under Mikel Arteta. And that's why I'm going to say that this game will end 2-1 to the Gunners with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang back among the goals. Next, we've got one of the many 3 o'clock kickoffs on Saturday as Wolves host Newcastle at Molineux. Wolves are currently on a 2-game losing streak, having lost on New Year's Day to Watford with the Hornets winning 2-1, whilst Newcastle are on a 3-game losing streak themselves with their latest defeat being a 3-0 loss to Leicester. Which side will end their mini losing streak here? Another interesting game ahead here with Wolves having a great season and looking ahead to challenging further, whilst Newcastle have probably had a better season than what many had predicted, but still not that great a watch for the fans it seems. As far as the match goes, I'm going to have to go for a Wolves win here, and I'm going to say that it will end 2-0 to the home side in this fixture. For our next game, we're at Stamford Bridge for Chelsea versus Burnley in another 3 o'clock game on Saturday. Last time out in league action, Chelsea drew 1-1 with Brighton, whilst Burnley lost 2-1 to Aston Villa. Will Chelsea maintain their stronghold of their top 4 spot, or will Burnley stun the Blues in this game? Their home form has been a bit of an issue for Chelsea, whilst the Clarets have had a very inconsistent season overall. But with how tight things are, they are slipping further down the table. Sean Dyche's side are currently on a 3-game losing streak and now come up against Chelsea, who can either be very good or a little bit lacklustre. Upon reflection, whilst the draw isn't out of the question, I still think Frank Lampard's side will get the victory here and come out on top. And therefore, I'm predicting a 3-1 Chelsea win with Tammy Abraham among the goals. It's the Toffees versus the Seagulls at Goodison Park as Everton and Brighton clash in another 3 o'clock game on Saturday. The Toffees lost 2-1 to Manchester City on New Year's Day in their last league game, whilst Brighton drew 1-1 with Chelsea on the same day. Will the Toffees bounce back with a win here, or will Brighton make it 3 games unbeaten in this game? Another interesting game ahead here. It will be interesting to see how this Everton side bounces back from their FA Cup defeat to Liverpool last week, considering that they put out a strong squad against Liverpool, and Liverpool put out their reserves and under 23s in that competition and still ended up winning, the Reds did. So it'll be interesting to see how the Everton squad responds to that, whilst for Brighton, they've had a fairly up and down season, but there's definitely something there for the fans are seeing that they can build upon for the future. And as far as this game goes, I'm going to have to say that this game will end as a draw. I could see either side snatching it, of course I could, but I'm going to say a draw, and I'm going to say 2-2. The Vitality Stadium plays host to our next game of focus as Bournemouth take on Watford on Sunday afternoon. Bournemouth have been going through a miserable time lately and find themselves without a win in their last 4 games, with their latest result being a 4-0 loss to West Ham, and that result condemned them to slide into the relegation zone as a result. Whilst Watford are on a bit of a revival and new manager bounce as of late, having been unbeaten in their last 4 league games, with their latest result being a 2-1 victory over Wolves. Will Bournemouth begin to put their season right with a win in this fixture, or will the Hornets sting the cherries and heap more pressure and misery onto Eddie Howe's side? It's been a tough few months for Bournemouth. A number of injuries and bad results have hit them hard and have gone down into the relegation zone because of it. Whilst Watford have brought in their 3rd manager of the season and are now enduring the new manager bounce that it's come with it. It's a question of will the form of Bournemouth continue, and when will the bubble of a new manager bounce burst for Watford? Will it occur in this game? I'm not so sure. But I do think the Cherries do have a chance of getting a point from this game. But at the same time, I do think that Watford will continue their good run of form and leapfrog Bournemouth in this bottom of the table clash as a result. And that's why I'm going to go for a 2-1 Hornets victory in this fixture. In the penultimate game on this list, Manchester United take on Norwich at Old Trafford. In their last league performance, United lost 2-0 to Arsenal, whilst Norwich drew 1-1 with Crystal Palace. So the question here is, will United bounce back with a win in this game, or will Norwich stun United here and add 3 points to their hopeful Premier League survival bid? It's not looking good for Norwich, in all honesty. United certainly are there for the taking for them, and with other fixtures that are occurring this weekend in particular concerning their rivals to relegation, it could be a huge game for the Canaries, this fixture. As for United themselves, inconsistency resumes for them. This is definitely the kind of game they've dropped points to in the past, and I think I'm leaning more towards that happening in this game as well. Therefore, I'm going to go for a draw, and I'm going to say that it will end 2-2 come the final whistle. And in the final game on this list, we're at the King Power Stadium as the Foxes take on the Saints when Leicester clash with Southampton. Both sides are victorious in their respective games on New Year's Day, with Leicester beating Newcastle 3-0, while Southampton defeated Tottenham by 1-0. So the question here is, will Leicester maintain their hold of second place, or will Southampton keep up their good run of form as of late and make it 5 games unbeaten in the league in this little bit of a run they're on? An intriguing game in store lies ahead for this game. Southampton have been a bit of a resurrection and a revival over recent weeks, whilst Leicester have recovered from that small Christmas blip and will welcome back Jamie Vardy for this weekend's fixture. It's a game that will see the battle of the strikers, the informed strikers, as Jamie Vardy goes up against Danny Ings, and I'm sure that both will have a say in this game at some point, because I'm predicting that both will score in this fixture and that it will end 2-1 to the Foxes. Although, I wouldn't be entirely surprised if the Saints did manage to gain a point from this game, but I am going to stick with my 2-1 Leicester prediction. And that wraps up this Premier League preview show for the first time in 2020 for Game 22 of the 2019-2020 Premier League season. Guys, if you have any thoughts, comments or predictions of your own on any of the upcoming rounds fixtures, let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to read them. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things would be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch, the Football Observer. This has been another Premier League preview show, and I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video.